Welcome back. Today I am continuing my shelf tour of my unread fiction shelves, the purpose of which is to take these books off my shelf and remind myself of what I have, and perhaps for you to tell me about my books, if you have read them, if you would like to read them, whether you liked them or disliked them. I would love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your experiences with these books if you have read them. And this is sort of a utility shelf with quite a lot of anthologies on it, so this shouldn't take too long. We'll just get right into it here. The first is a book edited by Oscar Williams. This is The War Poets. I believe this is from the 1940s, maybe even the 30s. No, I think it is post-World War II. It is from 1945, so it's a little bit fragile, but this has a lot of poetry by soldiers and sailors and that sort of thing. I'm not a huge fan of poetry, but I do have a couple of collections. I think both of them are on this shelf. After that, we have a spy novel by Somerset Maugham. We have Ashenden, or The British Agent. So I have a little bit of experience with Somerset Maugham. I read The Razor's Edge. I really liked The Razor's Edge, actually. And there is Somerset Maugham. I intended to read this for Dr. November a couple of years ago, and I never got around to it. After that, we have, I think, the only other volume of poetry I have. This is the selected poems of Rainer Maria Rilke, and this is a translation from the German and commentary by Robert Bly. Now, I think Robert Bly, did he write Iron John? Is that the book that Robert Bly wrote? Can't remember. I know I've read a book by Robert Bly, but I can't remember if it was Iron John or The Fire Inside. I don't remember. It's been a long time ago. Now this is, as it said, both in German and English. I cannot remember what drove me to buy this, to be honest. After that, we have Postmodern American Fiction, a Norton anthology. And I have read a little bit of this. Postmodern fiction is really not my type of thing. It's not my cup of tea. I just don't enjoy it. I don't think a lot of it was written to be enjoyable. I just don't really care for experimental fiction or anything like that. I have read a few good things in this, and we will see who is in this. Don DeLillo, Mark Lehner, Leslie Marmon, Silko, Art Spiegelman, William T. Volman, Toni Morrison, Ishmael Reed, Sherman Alexie, and a lot more. William S. Burroughs. So, I don't know. I think I'm just going to read the parts of this that interest me. I've read quite a bit of this, actually, but I think I'll read the parts that interest me, and then I'll probably pass this on to somebody else. After that, we have I think this is actually a single book, but it's in 2 volumes. This is War and Remembrance by Herman Wouk. I think it's Wouk, right? Herman Wouk. I read his book, The Caine Mutiny. I really enjoyed that in parts. I felt like the romance in The Caine Mutiny was kind of sappy and unnecessary to the actual plot itself, and I could have just done entirely without that, to be honest. Although the fire waterfall at Yosemite was kind of interesting. I learned about that through that book. It was made into an okay movie with Humphrey Bogart. I liked most of that movie, but not all of it. Anyway, so War and Remembrance is a much larger undertaking. It looks at all kinds of world leaders and that sort of thing, as well as focusing on, I think, some sailors and soldiers and that sort of thing. I'm sure that I would like that if I would ever get into it. I think that I haven't because it is in 2 volumes. I don't know why, but that sort of keeps me from it. And like I said, I didn't really like the romance in The Caine Mutiny, and that will sort of tint my feelings about reading follow-up works from certain authors. The next are 2 books in a series by Douglas Reeman. I have showed one of these before in another shelf tour video, and I thought these were in a different place, but they weren't. So this is the Royal Marines Blackwood Family Saga. The first is The First to Land, with this really interesting cover, this wraparound cover here. I just really like that. I have a lot of these Douglas Reeman books because I really like his books. I have a whole bunch of them right back here. I don't know if I will show all of those because they are mostly in a series. He wrote a lot of standalone novels too, which are quite good. And this is The Horizon. And this is also a wraparound cover, though I don't like it as much as the other one, although it's rather poignant, I think. So the next 5 are all in a set that someone paid $36 for, apparently, at some time. I did not pay $36 for them. We have the Norton Anthology of American Literature, Volume A, Literature to 1820. And I have read chunks of these. I haven't read all of them. I do pull them out sometimes and read parts of them. We have Volume B, 1820 to 1865. We'll see what's in this. Ralph Waldo Emerson's Nature, The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne, Walden by Henry David Thoreau, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, Life in the Iron Mills by Rebecca Harding Davis, and a lot of poems. Bartleby the Scrivener by Herman Melville, Billy Budd Sailor, also by Herman Melville, and yeah. See, we also have Volume C, 1865 to 1914, and what's in this? The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Daisy Miller by Henry James, The Awakening by Kate Chopin, and To Build a Fire by Jack London. Then we have Volume D, and I have read most of Volume D. So this is 1914 to 1945. My trouble with this volume is that I would say that it is at least 50% poetry, maybe more than that. And that's perfectly fine, but in comparison to these other volumes, it feels really lacking in fiction, in short stories and novels and that sort of thing. What is in this? So we have The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill, which I quite like that. That is a play. As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, Snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway, The Bridge by Hart Crane. So these books are a really economical way to pick up quite a lot of books in a very small package. And I am actually glad to be looking at these because for instance, I've been seeing a lot of copies lately of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and also Tom Sawyer, and I've kind of flirted with buying those, but it's nice to remember that I actually have it. And I've kind of been wanting to reread Long Day's Journey into Night, and I could not remember where I had read that, and now I remember that I did actually read it in this, so that is interesting. I don't know if I have any interest in reading any William Faulkner, though. There's a lot of other stuff in these books, too. And we have Volume E, Literature since 1945. I think I've read quite a bit of this, and this includes Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, Allen Ginsberg's Howl, and A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams, which I have never read A Streetcar Named Desire, and it sounds like it would be interesting. I did read Death of a Salesman and Howl. If I had remembered that I had Death of a Salesman, I could have saved myself $1.59 last year. So the last of my Norton anthologies is the Norton Anthology of World Masterpieces, Volume 2. This is the 7th edition, and this includes quite a lot of complete works. So we have The Cherry Orchard by Chekhov, Candide by Voltaire, The Queen of Spades by Pushkin, Billy Budd Sailor by Herman Melville, Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky, The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Tolstoy, Hedda Gabler by Ibsen. So there's a lot in this, and I've read quite a bit of this. I think this is the book that I read Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass in first. So these next books are quite heavy, and they don't really belong on this shelf, but I didn't really have anywhere else to put them when I got them. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to really show them to you because what they are the American Showcase of Photography, Illustration, and Graphic Design. And so these books, as far as I can tell, were made to advertise the work of photographers, illustrators, and graphic designers so that people in business could look at them and pick someone that they wanted to do their advertisements. And this is from the 80s, and let's just say there's a lot of nudity in this book because a lot of advertisements in Europe they were not quite as straight-laced as we in America were as far as that goes. And then also a lot of these photographers had shot for Playboy and that sort of thing. And so when you open this, you don't quite know what you're going to get. And some of these, these are not really my type of photography, so to speak, but I really enjoy looking at them. I don't really care for advertisements, but I think that the art of advertisements is quite interesting, the way that some of these are done. Let me see. I'm trying to be sure that these are clean, so to speak, so that YouTube will not be angry with me. And some of this is really impressive. It's art in its own way. Let's see, here is another one. What number is this? This is the first one, volume 1. So I don't really, and you'll get stuff like that. Can you see that? Yeah. Food, cars, jewelry, that sort of thing. Here's an ice cube that is on fire. That's kind of neat. Broken light bulb with an egg in it. So these are kind of beautiful in their own way, and I'm remembering now why I actually bought these, because they are quite interesting. And we have the third one, which is a hardcover, and I couldn't find any more of these. I think I bought 3 of them. I'm not sure how many were made or anything like that, but they are kind of neat. I kind of like looking through them. I've always had a fondness for pictures of cocktails and things like that, mixed drinks. I don't know why. There's a Minolta. That's kind of interesting. Can you see that? I have no idea. So these are just interesting, and I have quite a few. After that, we have Photographers and Their Images by Mcgee, I guess, with an introduction by Yusuf Karsh. The world's leading photographers select their favorite photographs. And some of these are quite interesting, actually, but photographers tend to be a weird lot. I can say that because I'm sort of one of them, I guess. They are not always very happy to answer such a question of what is your favorite photograph. Some are, but some are difficult. Some are difficult just to support their aura or whatever. And there is usually a short description of the photograph and why they chose that photograph. The interesting thing to me about this book is that oftentimes, to me, the picture of the photographer is generally more interesting than their favorite photograph for some reason. For instance, there is Chet Baker, and then there is the photograph of John Claridge. Now that one kind of goes either way, but I think some of these photographers were probably just messing with the people in general, saying, yeah, this is my favorite one, which is such a weird attitude to take, I think. So this is the last book on the shelf. And I'm going to try to find a better place for these photography books. And anyway, I just want to thank you for joining me today. I know this is probably not the most interesting shelf of all, but it is nice to go over these books and to see what I have and to look through these anthologies and see what's in them. And I want to thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.